Hi, this is Kim. Today I'm going to share a family recipe with you. Now, it's homemade spaghetti, but sort of not homemade spaghetti, sort of modified homemade spaghetti because I didn't make the sauce from scratch. I used Myers spaghetti sauce and then I just doctor it up a little bit. Truly homemade, I would have gotten the tomatoes and stewed them and all that. But on a busy work day or even on the weekend, I often make spaghetti for my family. I make a meal for my parents once a week and then for my son and I. And spaghetti is good to take to work. It's good to have for leftovers. So now I'm just going and I'm getting the hamburger. I bought this hamburger from Sam's Club, and as you can see, it's a large package. Now I don't need that much spaghetti, so you're gonna see me package it up and a little later and divide it into pounds, and then I'll put it in the freezer. So that'll be one less grocery store. You'll see right here. There's a gallon bag. I really even didn't need a gallon bag for these, and I broke it up into fours, and I'm putting it in the freezer so I can pull it out when I need ground beef. Now I also use turkey sometimes because my mom doesn't eat beef, and so I have to make her a different sauce. I use the sauce for lasagna, but today's meal is going to be spaghetti. So now I am cooking the ground beef, and you will see me at different phases of this ground beef. I like my meat really, really cooked well. I'm taking this fork and just kind of chopping it up because otherwise when it finishes cooking, it'll be in big clumps. And I like more smaller pieces of ground beef in the spaghetti. So I have this plastic glove on, because when I use meat or there's different times in the kitchen where I want to use, I'm going to cut up a onion. I don't even know if I'll have the glove on when I start cutting up the onion. I don't like the smell of onion. To me, it's hard to get off your hands. I know you can use baking powder and vinegar and things like that, but I try to use a glove when I'm cutting up onion or when I'm using fresh meat. So this is the ground beef cooking, and you'll see now it's cooked a little more, and I'll go back in and I'll use a spatula at some point, but I also use the fork to try to make it into smaller pieces. Now I have the spatula and I'm pouring it into the crock pot. I use the crock pot a lot, sometimes to cook beans, cook different things, but for today, it's just because it's the pot that I have available. It was out there, and I can simmer it while I'm watching TV a little bit later. Now, here are the vegetables. I'm going to wash them. Now, I do wash the onion with the skin on, which I probably should have waited till I took the skin off. But in any event, you never can wash veggies. These are just the veggies I have. I use these mini sweet peppers. If I had mushrooms, I love mushrooms. I would have put those in there, but I didn't have any. So I just used what I had. I had a tomato, some green peppers, and an onion. And so I added some of those to the store brand sauce. Now, these are some of the spices that I'll add in there because I like to add my own spices as well. And this was the garden variety spaghetti sauce. So a little later, you may see I'm putting the spices in now. You may see a mushroom actually in it, but that would have already come into the garden style with the garden style spaghetti sauce. But often I will even I will also put my own fresh sauteed vegetables, and I love mushrooms, all kinds of mushrooms, but I didn't have any on hand today. So I'm just liberally, I don't use exact measurements all the time, especially when I'm just doing my own thing. So just season to taste is what I would say. Sometimes I've noticed I'm a little sparing on seasoning because I try to watch my salt intake somewhat, but I've noticed that I need to use a little more spices. So because sometimes it doesn't come out to quite how I want it. So if you see me adding more spices, it's just because I tend to underspice, and so lately I've been trying to say, no, you need to put more, because once it's cooked, it's kind of hard to infuse those flavors in there. So this is the spaghetti sauce. It only fills up about a half of the crock pot. This is a pretty large crock pot. And now what you'll see me doing is cutting up the vegetables. Now I was trying to set up my camera, and I put a little butter in the pan. I used the same pan that I cooked the meat in. Because it was lean ground beef, there wasn't a lot of oil, which was good. I like to put a little butter in my spaghetti sauce. So I just used the same pan so it could get the juices from the ground beef. And I'm going to cut up, you see me cutting up the pepper. I also am cutting up just a little bit of the onion, and let me see, the tomato. I had a tomato that was kind of getting a little dated, and I wanted to use it, so I put a little more fresh tomato in there too. And I saute it just a little bit because I like my sauteed vegetables, or vegetables al dente, I think is how you say it. And so I don't like to kind of cook them to mush. So I'll just saute them just for a little bit because they're going to be in the sauce and they'll be cooking a little bit while they're in the sauce too. And then so the butter and the vegetables, I'm showing you that the butter is melted. I'll just pour all that into the spaghetti sauce, and that will be my sauce. Then let my sauce cook a little bit, warm up a little bit as I make the actual spaghetti. So you guys will see me boiling the spaghetti too. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is for those that don't do a lot of cooking. We do a lot of door dashing. I've never done a door dash, but we do as a society do a lot of door dashing and Uber Eats. And I just feel like anything I can pass on to the next generation, especially to my sons, even though they know how to cook. I have two adult sons. Just sharing my recipes for my granddaughter for the future. And I also share some of my mom's recipes because a lot of the things I cook, she cooked, and we did a cookbook for her of all her recipes. And we waited till she was in her 80s to put together the cookbook. And by then, unless you've written them down, you're starting to not remember exactly how you did every single thing. But I will be cooking some of her recipes. I'll share that cookbook with you. Things like Indian fry bread, hot water cornbread, spinach casserole. I'll share some of those recipes with you as well. Now, if you want the actual written recipe, I can put that in the comments. But as you see, I'm just cutting up the vegetables. This is the good part about this. Cut up which vegetables if you like zucchini, if you like celery, if you like a different type of onion, you can customize this to your taste. If you don't like mushrooms, don't put those in there. If you don't like any vegetables, you just want meat and sauce, make sure you get a sauce that doesn't have any vegetables already in it. Any store brand probably would be good. I like Prego, but Prego has a lot of sugar in it. And I didn't have any Prego. Plus, just trying to save money, use the store brand as much as I can and just kind of doctor it up because everything has gone up. But the thing I like about cooking at home, it tastes better, it's fresher, you control. Like, I definitely wash my hands all throughout this process. I wash my hands before I got started. So even though I didn't show you that at home, I use gloves sometimes. And I know my surfaces because I wash and clean my kitchen. And I didn't see myself as a cook, but as I started doing this series of videos, I'm like, well, you do cook. My mom was a great cook. All my sisters, my sister-in-law, they are great cooks. But in my mind, I just do what I do. But I wanted to leave something for, to share with other people, and also for my sons, so that they can see if they ever want to recreate some of the dishes mom's made, they can do that. And they have actually, even though I'll write it down, they actually have a video presentation of it. And then also share with my friends and family and you out there as well. So I'm finishing up, cutting up the vegetables. I'm putting them in the skillet. You'll see them sauteing there. You see the remnants of the ground beef. I didn't put a whole lot because I used 2 smaller jars of spaghetti sauce. I wasn't trying to make spaghetti for a large number of people. Again, I have enough sauce I'm going to make spaghetti for my parents tonight, take it over to them, and then my son and I'm taking some for lunch. But and there's plenty of sauce left over that we end up putting it in the refrigerator. And I probably, if I have leftover after today, I'll also probably make some lasagna, and then I can put that in the freezer and have that for lunch or have that for a meal for next week. So now I'm just stirring the spaghetti sauce, and I'll put the lid back on it and let it simmer while I make the noodles. Now, you can use any kind of noodles, any shape of noodles. I'm using spaghetti noodles. Now I'm just going to boil the water, and I'm going to put salt in the water. I don't know why they tell you to put salt in the water when you boil water. I just do it. I probably need to research that, but I'm going to put salt. You'll see me put salt in this water. I'll bring it to a boil now, just like I like my vegetables al dente. I also like, now this I don't know. I had taken it off to clean the catcher, but it wasn't really working, so I do eventually move that to another eye. But here you see me putting the salt into the water. And, for more experienced cooks, of course, they know this. So this is more of a beginner. This is how I do it, how I was taught by my mom to do it, and some of the things I've just learned along the way. This is the spaghetti. You can cook it from 9 to 11 minutes, according to the instructions. Again, I always cook it a little less because I like a little more resistance. And so I did it the 9 minutes. This is the spaghetti plated. I grated some cheese. Thank you.